Welcome, everyone. I'm Bill Newell with MSO News Sports. We are joined by Phil Stacey, Nick Kukuru, Matt Williams, and Nick Giannino should be joining us shortly. Plus, we're looking to have a featured guest with us here today as well on the podcast. As we talk tournament time, we could go sport to sport, region to region, but let's do a little bit of both. And Nick Kukuru from the Gloucester Times, maybe a quick update on what transpired coming down to the end of the regular season, and then maybe a peek to a couple of interesting matchups coming up in this coming week in the tournament.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, for starters, we're talking, tournaments. I think the biggest news over on Cape Ann was the All-State Wrestling Tournament this past weekend. Gloucester Junior Jaden Toppin, 220-pound All-State champ. He's the first ever Gloucester wrestler to get that All-State title. They've had a few divisional champs, but never an All-State. So he ran the table this weekend. Went the distance in all six matches and took home. Sorry, all four matches and took home the title in overtime with a nice scramble move. So yeah, that's the big news there. And as far as the other tournaments go, they start Tuesday night here. Gloucester boys hoop hosting Essex Tech in a preliminary round game. Should be an interesting one. I know Essex Tech's the lowest ranked team in the tournament, so Gloucester just kind of kicked into that preliminary round. They'll be hosting at the Smith Fieldhouse. They're 10-10. Essex Tech's 12-8. I think Gloucester's probably had the toughest schedule as it shows with their ranking, and the winner gets the nice reward of going to New Mission, which should be a pretty tough one. Whoever can survive on Tuesday night. Then the hockey starts on Wednesday. Both Gloucester and Rockport boys playing. Gloucester boys host Oliver Ames, which looks like it should be a good matchup. They got a pretty similar strength of schedule rating. Gloucester was 12-7-1. Oliver Ames 10-9-1. So that might be one of those coin flip games. Whoever plays better takes it. And Rockport has to go all the way out to Worcester right away to play Grafton. And then finishing off the week, doubleheader at Manchester Essex Friday. Girls at 5 against Blue Hills, and the boys at 7 against Bay Path Regional. So, a bunch of good games on tap for this week.
Well, with this statewide tournament, we get to mention some of these schools that we don't hear too much about much of the year, for sure.
Yeah, I never covered Bay Path Regional before.
Yeah, there you go. I can't picture their gym. I don't know. I just can't. But
nice. Well, I guess there was one matchup in Division III hoops where Cape Cod's going to way up north. I think the Berkshires or something like that. It's like a 5 or 6 hour drive. So that's great for a first round preliminary matchup. Love to see that.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Well, yeah, that's a great quick summary. Nick Giannino just joining us here, boys basketball. Let's just get a quick update from you on that. Obviously, that tournament kicks into full gear this coming week as well.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you want to. Are you going to pull up the brackets today, Bill? You want to do it that way? Break it down.
I was thinking that we might we'll hopefully have a guest coming up here at 4:20. Okay. Well, at 20 past the hour here, at 20 minutes into our program here as we record on Monday. So we may not want to do all that, just briefly give a quick overview here since these are preliminary games. Yeah.
So I'll just start with Division One. First game to kick off the week. We got, we're recording this on Monday, but Monday night, St. John's Prep, who finished with a 6-14 record, did get the number 23 seed, and they'll be hosting Cambridge on Monday night. So obviously got in with their strength of schedule. They kind of hovered around that 20 to 25 range pretty much all season. Did have some competitive losses. So we'll see, if they win a game or two, then I guess they'll prove that the rankings really worked in that situation. But, it's rare that you see a team with 6 wins get that high of a seed. So we'll see what they can do. They're definitely capable of a win or two. Then we got Beverly, took home the number 11 seed. So they're going to have a game. Phil, I think you confirmed that today, right? 6 o'clock.
Yeah, 6 o'clock confirmed. There was some talk about maybe playing Thursday night and scouting on Friday, but I guess the plan is now going ahead, whether it's Fian or Putnam, they're going to play Friday at 6 p.m.
Friday at 6, yep, versus Fian or Putnam Votech, and I think Fian should win that game. They got a pretty good team. That's not going to be a easy game by any means for the Panthers in their opening round. And, if they win, they're probably going to end up playing North High, Worcester North, who's had a phenomenal season. A lot of people think that they can win it all this year. So definitely not an easy road for Beverly. You know, I'm not saying that they can't beat Worcester North. They certainly have shown that they're capable of competing with some of these top tier teams. You know, went down to the wire with Catholic Memorial, had a battle with Lawrence. So certainly capable of an upset there, but that's definitely a tough draw, having to see a team like that, you know, potentially in the first round there.
How's their strength of schedule, North? I mean, I find it, you know, I mean, no disrespect, but are they really as good as some of these teams Beverly has played already, like CM and Lawrence? I mean, or are they, you know, I know this system's supposed to account for that, but you know,
Well,
I'm pretty
they've
sure
beaten
they're
some of
one of
those
Lawrence's losses. I think Worcester
Yeah.
North was did beat Lawrence when they
They
played.
did. They did. They
But
did.
I don't know. I mean,
I think
Western
as a
Mass.
whole, I think as a
Bill,
whole, the
by the way,
Beverly
I just got
schedule is
a
tough.
text from
they're
our
pretty good.
special guest.
Oh,
He should be calling within 5 minutes.
sounds good. Okay.
All right,
right.
so I'll blaze through the rest of this then. That's it pretty much for Division One. We got Peabody going Tuesday night. They're going to be taking on Medford, and Willie did a little bit of research beforehand. We don't think that Peabody's won a playoff game in 11 years. I think it is, right, Willie? And
No more than that. 11 games. They've lost 11 in a row over a great number of years. More than that.
Okay.
So,
all right.
including
So
years they didn't qualify.
Is that
So,
going back to like last tournament win, like a Kevin Betancourt team?
2004. So, you know, I guess I can just spoil, you know, some of what'll be in the game story. But, you know, you got to shout out two guys going to Endicott, Shay Lynch and Danny Barrett, have now won the most games in Peabody boys basketball since the Endicott head coach, Kevin Betancourt. So,
wow, there you go.
they did win a
Good
couple of
guess on my
playoff games.
part.
They did win a couple of playoff games after Kevin graduated, but the 15 wins they already have is the most wins in a single season since 2002 when Kevin took them all the way to the North Final. So that's pretty good. You know, Shay and Danny, most basketball wins in 21 years, most football wins in 29 years. I mean, I guess those two guys just know how to win.
Yeah.
That's
and
pretty good.
they both play you know, key roles. They're both starters, both play a ton of minutes. So I tend to think that Peabody can win that you know, that game that's been so elusive to them, that first round game. We'll see how they do against Medford Tuesday night. But
Did the Prep beat Zavarian, Nick, or am I imagining that? Was that one of the wins?
Yeah, they gotta win over Zavarian. Absolutely.
So I mean, maybe that's not. Maybe if Peabody sneaks by, that's a team that they can play with if they're not too tall. You know, I mean, because we think they can maybe play with St. John's. So, you know, I'm not saying they're gonna win, but maybe they're not doomed.
Right. Agreed. Yeah. So we'll see what happens there, but they've had a fantastic season nonetheless. Marblehead are the two headliners there. We got Salem going against Longmeadow on what's that? Thursday, the 3rd, Friday. They'll be playing Friday as well against Longmeadow. They wrapped up the number 15 seed again. We're kind of hurt by their strength of schedule, but they had an excellent season. 21 straight years in the state tournament for Salem hoops now. So again, they're going to have a tough draw too, with Mansfield sitting right above them, the number 2 seed. They're going to have to run into them in the Sweet 16 should they advance. Then you got Marblehead, number 10 seed. Excellent year for them. Again, you know, a lot of NEC teams are popping up here. They're going to be taking on Pembroke. They'll host that game on Thursday at 7. And they're right below Salem in that draw. So, you know, should they both get some upsets, we could see them down the line too.
You know, I just looking at the clock.
Division 2, do we have any other ones?
I'm just thinking maybe we should jump in. Matt, maybe you could jump in and give us an update on girls hockey. We do have hopefully our guests may be popping in here at any moment here, but when they do, we'll jump them into the program here. But
pretty much covered them all anyway. I'll just shout out Salem Academy real quick in Division 5. They earned a top 15 seed. They're going to have a home game. Great season for them. You know, we'll see what they're capable of doing in Division 5. I wrote about how hard that one is to predict because just a lot of unknown teams around there. And 2 years in a row for Salem Academy now in the MIA tournament since they were, you know, deemed eligible for that.
and you know what's good about the tournament when you look at I'm looking at some of the basketball pairings is you're not getting team 1 versus team 48, you're getting, you know what I mean, in these preliminary games, you're getting 30 versus 35 or something like that. So it's you know, or 20 versus 30, whatever it is. It's not as lopsided as you might think. Matt, how about an update on the girls hockey situation?
Well, so we've got 5 teams in the greater area, 4 in the immediate area, all in Division 1. And Winthrop coming in undefeated at number 5, and they're going to match up with a couple of teams, and then maybe see Haverhill, Pentucket, North End over there in the Elite 8 round. You got Peabody coming in at number 8. They play a familiar foe, Shawsheen, from the league that they beat twice in the opening round, and then they will face either Methuen, Tewksbury, or Acton, Boxborough, and then potentially lining up against St. Mary's in the Elite 8, which is like a reversal of the furthest they've ever gone in the tournament, when they beat St. Mary's and then lost to Methuen, Tewksbury in the following round. So this could be like a reverse curse situation for them. A little bit disappointing, I think, for them to draw number 8. I mean, they went all the way up to number 5 after they won the Carlin Cup, and then lost 2-0 to number 4 HPNA and tumbled 3 spots. I think that was a little bit further of a tumble than I would have expected for a game between top 5 teams. I didn't think they would fall that much, and I think as an outside observer, I would like their chances to go to the Final Four of the Garden better if they were against maybe a team that they'd never seen before. I think they tend to play better when there's not much pressure that way. And to get the 8 and have to line up with St. Mary's is kind of a tough break. But I mean, hey, to be the best, you got to go through the best. And the other team that's right there in that spot is Bishop Fenwick, another team that I think was a little bit disappointed. They got a 5-5 tie on the last day of the season against number 10 Longmeadow, maybe thinking they could get into that top 16 and get a home game, but they end up number 17. So they're the first team out on the road. They go all the way to the Cape to play Plymouth. And it's a reversal of last year. Last year, Plymouth came up here and played Fenwick at Essex Sports Center, and Fenwick won in overtime. So I expect a really good, low-scoring, great game there. And the winner of that gets the winner of St. Mary's and Medford, which I think we can just say St. Mary's Medford in the tournament here at 3-15 and 1, which is probably a discussion for another day. I mean, the girls hockey playoffs, there's just a lot of teams that don't have a lot of wins, and it's not looking too good there at the bottom of that bracket. That there's just simply not enough teams, and I'm not sure how they're going to fix that. And when the Super 8 thing comes up, it worries me that you couldn't possibly take 8 teams out of this bracket and still have a 32 team playoff. So that's really going to goof up everything for the boys and the girls. But that's really sort of a different topic. But if St. Mary's and Fenwick play each other, that'll be the 3rd time that they've played each other. That could be a rivalry game, and so you certainly wouldn't want to count Fenwick out of that one. And Beverly, we shouldn't be remiss to mention Beverly as well. They go to Arlington. Arlington went all the way to the Garden last year, was a runner-up to Austin Prep. They're a really good hockey club, but obviously not as good as they were last year. I think if Beverly plays up to their capability and plays a disciplined game, they could play the spoiler there. They had a 3-2 lead on Winthrop going into the 3rd period just last week, and it slipped away with 3 goals in that final 5 minutes. But if Beverly can find a way to put that together for the full 45 minutes and stay out of the penalty box, I mean, they're a good team. They're better than their record showed. I mean, they had some
Matt, can I just I don't want to hold Christian Hansen too long here, but we're
Christian Hansen loves the Beverly girls hockey team.
Yeah, we got the St. John's Prep coach, number 1 seed in Division 1 with us here. Right with a frozen surface right behind him. Coach Hansen, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
I've got the Zamboni going behind me, so it's a little bit of a challenge right now. But
we love the ambiance. This is perf coming to us right from the scene of the crime.
All right, this is real life. This is my life.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hand this over for the next few minutes to Phil Stacey, the Mr. Ice Hockey himself here, boys ice hockey. So, Phil, what do we need to know from this coach here heading into this tournament?
Well, we need to know that they are 17-2-1. They've won 39 games in the last 2 years. They are the defending state champs, and once again have the bullseye on their backs. Should be something that your guys are pretty used to at this point, Christian, I would think.
Yeah, Phil, thanks for having me. We have a number of kids on this team with not only varsity experience with hockey, but lacrosse and soccer as well. So a lot of these kids have competed at a pretty high level and been in some really big games. So hopefully that serves us well.
Christian, I know that your boys are a tight group, but they clearly have friends that play football and soccer and lacrosse and various other sports there. Can they glean some of that? Is it something that they want to keep up the championship string at the school because they see how their friends in those sports do? And it's like, hey, we don't want to be the ones that don't win it. We want to keep the state championship streak going, kind of thing.
Well, Phil, thanks for that extra added pressure right there. I appreciate that. Yeah, something that I've thought of personally. Obviously a lot of the teams have done really well, including us a year ago. Yeah, I guess we feel a little bit of that pressure to carry that torch and make it to the end and win it all. But you're really just going to be careful about looking too far ahead, because if you start doing that, you end up falling short of your goals.
Would it be fair to say that, for many teams, their most indispensable player is a goaltender, and you obviously need good goaltending to have any kind of success at any level of hockey, and you have a number of elite scorers who can get the job done for you, but haven't seen you guys 10, 11, 12 times already this season. I really feel like your most indispensable player is a defenseman, Aiden Holland. Would you comment on that?
Yeah, obviously Aiden a year ago was instrumental in our success in the tournament. As a senior captain this year, he's been a huge piece to our team. And, we just hope going into the tournament that he can kind of replicate what he did a year ago and play to that high level. And we expect that he will.
Boys, the floor's open. I don't want to hog all the questions here, Willie.
Well, you may not want to discuss this, but I mean, do you like this format? It's different. Do you have to prepare differently to sort of, I don't want to say ease in, but, playing a 32 or 33 seed is a little bit different than a Super 8 where you're playing, a top 8 team right in that first game, and you have to play a top 8 team, 4 times in 10 days or something like this. Whereas this is a little bit more spread out. It sort of ratchets itself up. It presents different challenges. So I guess, I'm not sure if you like it better or worse, but as a coach, do you have to prepare your team differently for this sort of road than you maybe do for the other one?
I think the biggest mistake a coach could make would be to prepare differently. You need to go into every game like it could be your last. The Division I tournament kind of poses that unique challenge the Super 8 didn't, where if you go out there on day one and do not play well, you could find yourself out real quickly. So
no mulligans, yeah.
We are not looking past whoever the opponent will be on Wednesday. Approximately 1 year ago, we were in this same game. We only won the game 3-1. And I've been on, I've been doing this a long time, and I've been on the other side before. And I think back to my days in Salem where we beat Wilmington, a team that we had no business beating. So you really need to prepare like it can be your last game, because if you don't play well, it will be.
Christian, can you take a minute too and talk about your longtime assistant coaches, Dave Hennessy, Scotty Hentosh, and Jeff Taché, and just what they bring, and even, throw in a guy like John Zimini, who's been there a long, long time with you.
Yeah, I mean, I've been so fortunate to have really smart people around me. I jokingly say I'm the smartest coach in the state, not because of what I know, but because of the people I surround myself with. Dave Hennessy, Jeff Taché, Scott Hentosh. I've been with them for 16 years here at St. John's. I did 7 years prior to that at Salem with Jeff. So, we've been together for 24 seasons. And Coach Zimini was here when I was a player at the Prep in the 90s, and he's really instrumental in getting our freshmen ready. So I'm surrounded by really smart people, and I wouldn't have any other way.
And it's cool too to see guys who played for you, like Andrew Pierce and Ty Scarbo, now part of the program as coaches.
Yeah, Ryan Farrow as well.
Ryan, that's right, yeah.
There that all played for me. I guess that's what happens when you've been here for so long. Eventually grow up, and it's great to have them back helping out.
23 years, Christian. That's longer than most marriages, I think.
Yeah, well, sometimes it feels like it too.
We don't know what that means, folks, but it's nothing bad there. Christian, one last question, and we'll let you go because we see the team is out there getting ready to practice. Is that in the last week or two, have you noticed your team kicking the game up a bit? You know, some little bit of something in the game has stepped up with the prep in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about that. We talk about peaking versus peaking, right? We don't want to look ahead. We also don't want our team to peak skill-wise too early. I thought we played really well the last game of the season against Franklin. I thought we had a great practice the day before that game. We want to start playing our best hockey right now and play our best on Wednesday night.
Coach, thanks so much for doing this with us, mixing up your day a little bit, but thanks so much for joining us and best of luck in the tournament.
My pleasure. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Christian. Take care.
Bye.
All right. There he is. Not bad.
Not bad. He talks about having been around for a long time. You know, geez, I remember him as a player when I was in my younger years. You probably do too, Bill, actually.
No, I remember. Yeah, you know, I do, I think. And I remember him as coach of Salem, obviously, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played for Frank Salvucci. Frank was a legendary coach in his own right for St. John's in the 80s and into the 90s. And, you know, he had some great teammates, guys who went on to do big things. And Christian himself was a 200-point scorer in high school, went to the University of New Hampshire, played before he got injured. And he's been a stellar coach, both at Salem and at St. John's Prep.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if he actually was the one that took over from the legend from Bob Sweezy. Remember that name, the coach at Salem?
I do. Yeah. You know what? I want to say Scott Hentosh might have been there before.
In between. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. All right, gentlemen, I'm looking at the clock here. We have plenty of time here, but I want to jump around. Should we touch on girls basketball? I know I've done a couple of features from the Division III thing. We got Peabody in Division I. So we've got Fenwick, St. Mary's, top 3-1 respectively in Division III in girls basketball. Obviously, Peabody's looking to grab a win where they have a home game opening up their playoffs later this week as well. So any other thoughts from you guys? Can you share any notes from girls basketball?
I did notice, just looking at the pairings, Bill. I mean, I feel bad for a school like Lynn English, which went undefeated.
Lynn Classical.
Lynn
Classical. I'm sorry, Lynn Classical.
No, you're right. That's crazy. Yeah.
20-0, and they still are not considered a top 32 team. And I know, you know, there's no bias in the power rankings. You play who you play. Your league's as strong as it is, whatever. And I think you wouldn't really get any arguments that the Greater Boston League as a whole is not particularly strong. But you got to figure that 20-0 counts for something. I mean, I was stunned to see that they weren't in the top.
Yeah, 36 is ridiculous. I mean, that's one of those. But can you just move them up? I mean, you got to go by the ranking, right? You can't just throw them up.
You have to go by the
there
rankings, and by the rankings, you know, maybe are the rankings saying that, like, well, if they played in the MVC, you know, to use that as an example, they'd be what, 5-15, or they'd be 8-12 or whatever. I mean, I don't know.
I
mean,
think,
if they played in the MVC, Phil, they'd have a worse record, but they'd have a better power ranking. They'd have a higher, they'd have a higher ranking, and they might have a home game. You know, who knows? I mean, they don't
honestly,
have a home game.
Like
they're playing out of Algonquin tonight.
If they played in the MVC.
Right.
I think personally, I think it just goes to show that the formula is not perfect, and they should continue to play with it and tweak it, you know, because the wins, I mean, coaches complain, oh, wins don't matter. And I mean, I think that's a little bit overblown. Wins do matter. But when you see a team with 20 wins going on the road, I think it just goes to show you that maybe they don't matter as much.
Not only going on the road, not even earning a top, they're playing a preliminary round game.
Preliminary,
right. I mean, yeah, it's kind of, you know, but wins should probably matter a little bit more. I mean, 20 is a lot. I think the power seed is great for determining the difference, you know. I mean, 12-8 or an 11-9 or but you know, 20-0 probably ought to count for something. And you know, I mean, it's one of those things that's going to be forgotten 3 weeks from now when, you know, the state final is number 1 versus number 3. Everyone's going to say, oh, the power seeding was perfect because this whole system, the only thing anybody cares about is the state final. And if you're not going to the state final, you get lost in the shuffle and whatever. And that's how it was designed. That's what people voted for. That's what they wanted. But I would say, my personal opinion, it just shows that they should continue to play with the formula a little bit, and because it's not perfect. I mean, I think it's good, but it's not perfect. They can adjust the math some to make the wins count, maybe a little bit more than they do. I mean, nobody's saying Classical should be the number 1 seed, right? Like, but just tweak it a little bit, I guess, is
even in the colleges, you win your league title, you get in to a postseason. You earn a postseason berth, like Ivy League basketball. They go into the NCAA tournament. Obviously, they're not ranked high within the power rankings, but they get in. And of course, Classical's in. We're not saying they're not in, but this is not quite the same thing. But you can have a scenario where, you win a league title, maybe you get a home game. That's all you should be promised. Maybe
maybe there's a way to do that, or minimums. I think again, going back to the girls hockey. I mean, the minimums. Football was the only sport that has the minimum, right? If you don't win, what is it? Is it 3 games or 4 games?
3 games. Yeah, I think 3.
And you've got girls hockey teams with, win percentages that are under that are in. And, I know that happened in some soccer but it's winter. So we're just talking about hockey. I'm not trying to single out the girls hockey, but it just is a little bit galling when you look and see that. And I just don't know what the solution is. And again, like looking forward to bringing back the Super 8. I mean, you can't do it because if you take 8 teams out of that bracket, then there's going to be even more awful teams in the playoffs, and they may not even be enough teams, period, because you got 38 in Division 1 only. So, and then if you can't do it for girls, the boys are never going to get it. So it's a problem. They got to solve these divisions. Maybe the girls hockey tournament should only be 16 qualifiers, the top 16 in the power rankings plus all the 500 teams. And there may be a case to do that in some of the soccer brackets and field hockey too. I mean, maybe if you don't have a certain number of teams, then your tournament is 16 plus, not 32 plus. I mean, I counted all 10 basketball tournaments, boys and girls. Now tournaments, just the brackets, they have more teams than there are girls hockey teams in Division 1, period. So Division 1 hockey has 38 teams, and every single basketball bracket has more than 38 teams qualified. So, I mean, you're just not comparing apples to apples to try to say every tournament needs 32 at this point, I think.
I think a solution, unfortunately, is probably a bit of a slippery slope. Raise the average margin threshold. I think that makes wins matter more.
What I was going to say.
It also encourages, kind of extending those leads. But if you don't win as many games with the average margin threshold, your ranking is going to go down. I think the where it is now, like 10 points for basketball is too low. I think most 10-point basketball games are pretty competitive.
Yeah.
And, that doesn't really tell the story, and it puts way more emphasis on strength of schedule.
I agree with that.
Would you say
100%.
bump it up to like a 14 or make
I
it
think
like
20 for hoop, 5
think
for
it should be
hockey.
20.
I mean, even not all 3-goal games in hockey are created equal. I know some of those can be blowouts. Some of them, an empty netter or 2 can be, a 1-goal game turned to a 3-goal game.
That's what happened with Beverly girls. We were just talking about that. I mean, they were up 3-2 and lost 6-3. So they ended up losing by the max. I mean, that's not the same as a 5-0 game, And they should get a little more credit than that. I think you're totally right. It's a great point.
Well, anyway, on to girls basketball. I think Peabody, I'm glad they got a home game. I think it's a shame they didn't finish top 30. Oh, actually they did finish top 32. They were 30, right? They had been
30 or 32. Yeah, because if they were under 32, they would have been on the road, which I thought was going to happen. I was blasting them.
It looked like it as of Tuesday, but they got bumped up in the last power ranking. So
we should shout out the local match too. Speaking of the team that almost cost Peabody that home game is Masco. They host Marblehead in an NEC matchup. So that should be a sneaky competitive game there on Tuesday.
And would any of us be surprised to see St. Mary's and Fenwick playing in the Division 3 final? I don't think so. St. Mary's is a clear favorite there. St. Mary's is really, I don't really see them getting challenged at all until about the semifinals.
No.
Even then, You know, I mean, they're just clearly so superior, so well coached, ton of athletes. You know, Fenwick's going to have a little bit tougher draw of it getting through their side of the bracket, but it would not be surprising to see them face each other.
I agree. I think
Right.
St. Mary's is head and heels above the rest of the pack, though. In Division 3, I mean, they'd be a tough out in Division 2 too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean they got what, 3 Division 1 players and 2,000-point scorers. I mean they're pretty good.
They
Right.
have 3 1,000-point scorers, St. Mary's.
Wow.
Crazy.
So and it's funny. I talked to Jeff Newhall just this week about that. And I asked him, when has another team had 3 1,000-point scorers? I mean, traditionally you got to have somebody that plays starts for 4 years. So when do you have 3 players or 4 players that start for 4 consecutive years? That doesn't happen too often, right?
No,
Well,
You know,
they
St.
also
Mary's
allow
boys,
8th graders, so that makes a difference.
Oh, yeah, and they
the St.
Yeah,
Mary's
I mean,
boys had a
the
pair of
schools that helps too.
2,000-point scores. I remember when Matt Karakutis was there, and who was the other one? Willie, was it? I want to say Thad Broughton. That's not right though.
No, that's right. Yeah, they
It
played
is
together. I
Thad.
think they both
It is
scored
Thad.
2,000.
Yeah, 2,000-point guys. So
Now they're both
And
now
wasn't-
they're both pretty good coaches. So good
Wasn't
friends.
Timpson on that
You know
team
what?
too? Wasn't Timpson a 1,000-point scorer too?
I think he probably was. Yeah, I'm not sure
1,000,
if they
but
all
it's 10 of them.
overlapped.
Yeah, not 2,000. Yeah.
Hey, maybe that could be one of our next guests. Is one of those 2,000-point guys. Nick, maybe you can set that up next week.
yeah.
I'm on it.
You got Ipswich girls playing a home game, a preliminary round home game against Belchertown Tuesday. Hamilton Wenham, I believe, is also Division 4. They hit the road to Bourne. Salem Academy, Division 5. I mean, we don't talk about them a lot here, but Cindy Shahu can score with anybody, I think, just about any level. So she gives her team a fighter's chance in Division 5. So should be interesting.
Good. I think we're just about out of time, but we do have, if you guys want to make a closing comment on something quick or anything coming up, Phil, anything, why don't we, what's coming up in the paper this week? Obviously a lot of coverage of tournament action for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be focusing on that, obviously, a lot of game coverage, but also, some look ahead and see what what's coming up, what to expect, that kind of thing. It's a busy time of year because we have to, even though things are still going on, we have to begin the planning stages for All-Stars, Winter Sports All-Stars, because, wrestling wrapped up this weekend. We had a pair of state champions from St. John's Prep in Shoblin and Ross and Iwanicki. Prep repeated as all-state champions. A lot of other good performances there. Really, we had St. John's finish, second in the track, and
No, no, they weren't in the top 10. I don't think they had one kid win a silver medal in an event.
is that what I'm thinking? Oh, Nathan Lopez finished second, right? Broke that
Yeah,
40-year
yeah.
record.
That's
what I'm
correct.
thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. We mentioned, I think since we didn't do this last week, we had the state swim championships where Marblehead girls won the state championship behind Clementine Robbins. We have two of our teams moving on to the state gymnastics championships in Danvers and Massachusetts. So there's been a lot going on, a lot of stuff. Ski championships are this Wednesday. A lot going on there. And, of course, boys hockey tournament. I don't think we've touched on it other than with Christian, but, you got Gloucester has got a home game. What's that, Nick? Wednesday, are they playing at home?
Wednesday night, yeah.
Yeah, Wednesday night. Masconomet's at home Wednesday. Marblehead's at home Wednesday. Those are all Division 2 games. Essex Tech at home on Thursday night. They just won the state vocational championship, second year in a row at BU. Saturday night, where they beat Dimon, D-I-M-A-N, Dimon, I don't know. Who else? Swampscott's on the road Wednesday night in Quincy to play Cohasset Hall. Hamilton Wenham is up at Shawsheen on Thursday. I think that's everybody. So busy time of year, but also a great time of the year. I mean, this is one of the best times of the year on the sports calendar.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll see how many of them are still alive. Anybody that didn't get any time today, hopefully they're still alive this time next week, and we can talk about them then. I don't know. I don't have a great feeling about a lot of these clubs. Hopefully they'll prove us wrong.
Well,
We did quick shout out, Bill, to Pingree too. Both their girls and boys teams made it into the NEPSAC. I believe it's Class B. tournament. Pingree boys got I guess you could call it an upset win over the top seed in their conference, Beaver Country Day, just to get into the tournament. They beat them in the Eastern Independent League final. That was a team that had beaten them basically on a buzzer beater earlier this year. So big win for Pingree just to get in. They're going to be playing at Rivers, the number 1 seed, on Wednesday evening. And then the girls will be, I believe, are they going on the road too? They're number 6. I think they're going on the road to play Beaver.
Rematch of the EIL title game. That's interesting. I'm
Right.
surprised that they don't have some provision to like prevent that. That's weird.
Yeah. Should be
Uh,
interesting.
Gentlemen, great job as
great for them.
always. And thanks so much. And we will talk again soon.